So today we're going to talk about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. We're going to look at the conditions that kind of caused the fire, and we're going to look at how this fire is going to impact and call for change for working conditions in the United States. So kind of some background. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, or Triangle Shirtwaist Company, is the most successful garment factory in New York City during this time. This is going to be working in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Their main garment that they're going to create is on the left. This is a shirtwaist. It was a very popular style worn by working women during this time period. This factory is going to employ roughly 500 women and some men. The majority of the workers, though, are going to be young women, young unmarried women. And the majority of them are going to be immigrants from Italy or from Eastern Europe, so Italian and Jewish immigrants. Some conditions you need to, that are helpful to know about the working conditions is these women would work 9 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they earned roughly $7 to $9 in a week. So that's not $7 a day, $7 an hour, $7 in 1 week. There's some conditions you need to know based off of cultural practices and beliefs about women in the workforce. Women in the workforce at this time tended to be unmarried. So it would be young women, teenagers who would go into the workforce with permission from their families, typically their fathers. Then once they got married, they would leave the workforce because it was culturally seen as their responsibility to then take care of the household and any children they may have. While they're in the workforce, though, there's this big distrust of women out in the world unsupervised. So the factory doors are going to be locked from the outside. They're also going to, so the idea behind this is an unmarried woman needs to be protected when she's not around her family. So the best way to protect them is preventing them from going out and about New York City unsupervised. So they would be locked in once they came to work, and the doors would then unlock for them to go home. Here's a picture kind of showing you just how many people would be packed into a single room. This is a drawing, as you can tell, not a picture. This is the early stages of what sewing looked like. Eventually, they're going to start incorporating more and more machinery to have it happen faster, but you're still going to have huge numbers of people packed in. So we have all the workers. Here we have some managers kind of overseeing production, making sure women are being efficient, doors are locked, things like that. So in 1911, we're going to have a fire that is going to start. Because the doors are getting locked, the workers are going to be trapped inside as the fire breaks out. Roughly 146 people are going to die in this fire. They're going to die from burns. They're going to die from inhaling smoke, suffocating. You also are going to see some women dying by jumping to their death in an attempt just to get out of the fire. It was a terrible tragedy in New York City at the time. It was the worst workplace tragedy in New York City up until September 11th. Here's some images kind of showing the fire. So here are the firemen trying to put out the fire. The problem is going to be that the water hoses can't reach the top levels. So the fire is going to rage more and more up at the top levels with the people trapped inside. Here's what it looked like after the fire. The fire escapes, it became so hot that the fire escapes twisted away from the building, the metal essentially like melting and becoming deformed based off the extreme heat that was inside the building. Like I mentioned before, girls are going to jump out of the building to escape the fire. And in order to identify who each of these people were, families are going to kind of walk into a morgue and identify who was their daughters, their sisters, kind of identify them in that way. This is going to cause outrage. You're going to see an influx of protests that are going to start. Workers are going to start to demand change. So the effects, like I mentioned, people are going to be really upset. There's this public outrage that is going to grow more and more in New York City after this incident. There's going to be, the factory owners are going to be charged with manslaughter, but they're going to get off in court. They're going to be acquitted, so found innocent of manslaughter. And so there's going to continue to be this public outrage, and there's going to be the start of protests and this call for workers' rights in the United States, a way to protect the people who are working in these large factories. The call is going to be for better and safer work conditions. And there's also going to be this call for better working hours. Instead of working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, there's going to be this push for change. That way people can be safe at work and also be able to, have a life outside of work. We're going to be looking more at the Shirtwaist factory fire in class on reading more about the details, watching a video, kind of helping us understand what happened so we can understand the ramifications and the pushback that is going to come in the United States after this incident.